Worldwide, there are more than 465 known species. They have been here far longer than we have, and even predate dinosaurs by 200 million years. They range from 7 to 8 inches in length and up to 50 feet. They are one of the ocean's apex predators and crucial for all marine life, since they regulate the population of species below them. In some places they are worshipped, but mostly they are feared. We all have an opinion about them, but what are facts and what is fiction? In 1974, author Peter Benchley wrote his famous novel Jaws. The film adaptation was directed by Steven Spielberg and released in 1975. The novel, as well as the movie, created a fear for sharks never seen before, and resulted in a largely growing shark hunting trend, which dramatically reduced nearly all shark species over the following decades. On top of that, there's been, and still is, an over-exploitation of shark fishing around the world, especially due to shark finning. As a top predator, sharks are essential for upholding the biodiversity of our oceans. The extinction of sharks will have dire consequences for all marine life, as well as for us. And yes, sharks do attack, and even kill people. But mostly it is not for predation, but more out of curiosity. Remember, sharks don't have arms or fingers, so they have to find other ways to examine a potential food source. Most attacks on humans are investigative, and as soon as they realize how bad we taste, they let us go. However, with their bite force and teeth anatomy, there will of course be devastating consequences. Compared to other death-related accidents, shark attacks are at the very bottom, with only about 10 fatalities every year. In fact, you have a 40 times better chance of getting killed by a cow than a shark. Falling coconuts kill about 150 people annually. Champagne corks kill about 24 people every year. And here are some other statistics. Since early childhood, I've had a deep passion for sharks and shark conservation, and it deeply saddens me that most people still see them as the monsters they are portrayed as, instead of the beautiful creatures they really are. Living in Denmark, and due to the climate here, we've never had any shark attacks. We do of course have sharks in the waters surrounding our small country, but they are relatively small and don't come anywhere near our beaches. Most of us have never even seen one outside of captivity. In the summertime, people enjoy water sports just like anywhere else in the world. But I think it is safe to say that 90% of us never have given it a thought that sharks may be frequenting the same waters. Since we are fairly unaware of sharks and the fact that they are disappearing at an alarming rate, not many have given shark conservation a thought. That doesn't apply only to us Danes though. Most people around the world aren't aware of these facts and don't realize how endangered sharks really are. To spread awareness about these issues is essential, and no matter how little or how much a single person can do to help, everything counts. In July 2014, I have been given a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I am traveling to Bimini in the Bahamas, where I'll spend a couple of weeks working with and learning from some of the world's leading scientists regarding shark conservation. I'll be stationed at the Bimini Biological Field Station, or Shark Lab, and follow the research of Dr. Samuel H. Gruber and his staff of scientists. The Shark Lab was founded by Dr. Gruber back in 1990, and both his studies as well as the work carried out at the Shark Lab is world famous. Huge international broadcasting companies like the BBC, National Geographic Channel, the Discovery Channel, etc. are often using the expertise of Dr. Grube and his staff on shark-related programs. I hope that by learning as much as I can and making this film about my experiences, that I can contribute just a tiny bit in creating awareness to the importance of shark conservation.
I was going to say, now you thrush. You look fabulous.
I can hear it.
Can you hear it? Are you sure? Because all of these are on. You should be hearing 4465 on 75. Well, the actual frequency is 476, so you guess is exactly 29, Danny. Oh no, it's not, sorry. Can you write this is 76 in the comment? Frequency 76. Hey dog! There's a shark! Dog? There's no shark in there.
What?
I've just put no shark in there.
Oh, another one.
We just found one.
You just had.
Done it.
Oh, good.
We'll turn you off.
I should have some good ones. Did you get that? That's good. Nice.
Yes, currently training some of our new volunteers.
You're gonna stay how
Can you guess where they get their name from? They have this kind of, you can see this yellow hue. It's a little bit easier to see on their fins. That's why they get their common name.
Something to do with the teeth as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Their species name, Negaprion brevirostris, yeah, comes from their sharp, pointy teeth. detect electrical magnetic impulses in the water. They use that to sense muscle movement from fish in the water column. So if you've seen Shark Week or any other shark documentary where you see the big shark coming up and biting the engine, or like going for the shark cage, because they're sensing that metal, that magnetic field from the metal, they get confused. A lot of sharks have, it's kind of like an eyelid, it's called a nictitating membrane, but it covers their eye. No, it doesn't like that. It doesn't like getting poked in the eye, just like people. Helps protect their eye, but they'll momentarily blind themselves and rely on that sixth sense to go in to get their prey. So they'll get confused and turn for the engine instead of the bait at the last minute. They're not going at the person in the cage, they're just kind of relying on that sense. They use this detection through, they have millions of little pores. You can kind of see it looks like blackheads all over their snout.
Through our Lawrencini, right?
Yes, yeah. Exactly. They're centralized around their snout, around their eye. You can see them on the sides, but they also rely quite heavily on hearing. So they have 2 ears. You can see on the top of their head, right there. Those 2 little dots. Those are the shark's ears. Right there. But they also use their eyesight, sense of smell, taste. Something that I like to describe to people is, like, there's a lot of misconceptions about sharks being man-eating monsters. I'm sure you've seen Shark Week Jaws, all that stuff. How I like to explain it is sharks don't have hands. Like, when you're a baby, you see babies picking up everything, putting it in their mouth, testing it, seeing what it is. Sharks are the same way. They're inquisitive, but they don't have fingers, they don't have thumbs, digits to pick something up. Their fastest way of finding out what something is their mouth. They have electroreception, taste, touch. All their senses are jam-packed right around their head. So when they go in to bite something, they're trying to figure out what it is.
Investigative. Right?
Yeah. But unfortunately, their mouth is lined with lots of super sharp teeth. So it does a lot of damage when they do this. When we're handling sharks, we try and do it as minimally as possible, because just like humans, they don't like to be poked and prodded. Or if not, you can come and stroke the shark. I'm going to ask to touch it right here below the first dorsal fin. Lemon sharks are incredibly flexible. They can actually bite their own tails. There's other shark products that are still used today. A lot of makeup companies use shark liver. Sharks, unlike bony fish, do not have a swim bladder. So the way that they kind of regulate where they are in the water column, they need to continuously swim. But they also have a very large liver that's full of oil called squalene. So that's often harvested for different beauty projects. The dorsal fin of the nurse shark is going to feel much differently. And it's kind of different adaptation for their life history. Nurse sharks spend a lot of their time tucked up under ledges, so as you can imagine they're going to have thicker skin, much like armor, as opposed to the lemon sharks that spend a lot of their time swimming through the water. They want to go for that water resistance. Come on, little boy. Oh, you're just the cutest little thing ever. I won't stress him out too much. I just wanted to show you it's pretty cool to see the nurse sharks when they're really tiny. This guy must be pretty freshly born.
And I can submerge it. Does he feel like he's like falling asleep on you?
Yeah.
So if you just like release him to the ground slowly.
Put the gear in. This is the receiver and these are the batteries. So, this has a little notch out of it. This is the battery cable, and there's a little nubbin just inside the receiver that you need to line it up with. Output is the headphones or the speakers, and then last but not least is the hydrophone, which is the audio part.
You guys all went through tracking class, right? Okay. Tracking lemons is you're sitting on the end, and I'm driving this fast the entire time. Around. And you're tracking, you point this way, point that way, point this way. But a nurse shark is more like, you find it, and then it's likely to stay. So we set the anchor, and we continually make sure that it's staying where it's at. Ledge right off the bow, but I was hearing it off this way. Yeah, pretty strongly right here. It could just be coming right under this. Hang on. So if you guys, Josh and Asker, if you could try and count these beeps as best you can, we need to make sure it's code 4558. So it should be 4 beeps, break, 5 beeps, break, 5 beeps, break, 8. Real strong right here, Devin. Yeah, did you hear that echoing? That echoing of the beep means we're like right on top of it. So I gotta assume it's here. Alright, so let's drop anchor. Which way's the current going this way?
I definitely counted 4, 5, missed the 5, and then there's an 8.
Ledge is right here. So as soon as we can figure out which shark it is, we'll take data points on this one for a little bit. Any sort of echoing is a really good sound. Asker, do you mind taking a depth reading for us?
1990, back in the 1990s, by Dr. Samuel H. Gruber. He came to Bimini before then. He started coming to Bimini before then. He was doing some research studying the lemon sharks. He used to just come over on a boat. And while he was here doing his research, he realized that this would be a perfect place to set up a research facility. One of his missions when he was setting up the station was to offer an opportunity for young scientists to come get experience working with sharks, get some research experience. Because in the science community, if you want to go on to get a master's, PhD, the more field experience you have, the better it's going to help your chances of getting in. He's also, Dr. Gruber, who's the founder of the lab, he's also the founder of the American Elasmobranch Society. He's pretty well known in the shark community. The lemon shark is our key species that we study here at the lab. The juvenile lemon shark, there's a large population in the mangroves and around Bimini. We kind of like to use them as a model species because not only do they do well in captivity, the pens that we keep them in off behind our beach, they kind of exhibit traits from 2 major groups of sharks where we talk about sharks that need to continuously swim to breathe, like the great hammerhead, great white shark, black tips. Those are all species that need to continuously swim to breathe. We like to stress the importance of the mangrove habitat because when these young lemon sharks are growing up, a lot of their prey source comes from mangroves. They'll use the mangroves to hide in during high tide when there's a lot of water in the lagoon and the bigger sharks can come in because that's one of their predators. Larger sharks and barracuda are some of the main predators of juvenile lemon sharks. They use the mangroves to go up and hide in the mangrove roots from their predators, and then when the tide falls, they'll come out and hunt across the seagrass beds. That's one of our PhD students, one of his findings is that the mangroves are pretty critical habitat for them for a prey source and as protection. Our pit project is we just finished this. This is something that we did early June. It's been going for 20 years now. 23 years now, I think, maybe actually.
20. I think it's the 20th anniversary.
20th anniversary. So it's an annual project where we catch 99% of the juvenile lemon sharks in Bimini. So we catch nearly every single juvenile lemon shark. That's new of the year, like fresh-born babies, and like 2 or 3 year olds, 1, 2, 3-year-old sharks, before they start getting bigger and moving away. But it's a really good project for us to, we can use it as an estimate for population growth, survival rate from year to year. You can use the numbers of the lemon sharks that we capture to look at survival rate for young lemon sharks. We can see if there's a dip in their population. Another thing that we've learned from our pit project is we now have a pedigree. So we have lemon sharks typically reach sexual maturity around 12 or 13 years of age. So they're slow growing, mature late in life, and then oftentimes their first litter will be unsuccessful. It's one of the things that make lemon sharks so vulnerable to overfishing. Something that we're really proud of is this past year, the National Marine Fisheries Service wanted to open fishing on large aggregating lemon sharks off the coast of Jupiter, Florida. And through the research that we've done in the past, we were able to show that it would be very harmful to the population because they're very vulnerable during this time, and we got them to delay the opening to a time of the year when they were less vulnerable. So we were pretty happy about that, felt like a victory.
I have a just a single question
Yes.
about pit.
Yes.
It was like 20 years you've been doing the pit.
20 years.
Yeah, okay. I know that this year you haven't been catching as many as usual.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any reason for that, or?
We have a few different theories as to where that could be. It's hard to tell for certain what the reason is because we have seen dips in catch rates before or increases without knowing why. There was a lot of bad wind in May this year, so we're not certain if the high winds pushed a lot of water out of the lagoons and if it kept the mothers from coming in and being able to give birth. There was also a lot of dredging occurring off of West Bimini for this new ferry dock terminal that they want to do, which kicked up a lot of sediment in the water. A lot of the reefs off of the west coast of Bimini have been buried. We're not sure what effects that had. It's not a major difference. We caught 148 total this year. We've caught, I think they caught 215 last year. So I think it is the lowest catch number that we've had yet, but it's hard to say with certainty. Yeah, good question.
Thank you for calling me. That's nice. Wow.
Right, I'm gonna need you just put your weight on him. That'll do. The rest of it will rust out fairly quickly. Okay. You want to release him? Yeah? Hold it with me. This way. Give him a push.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Okay, yeah, so this is what we call our wild shark refuge. The nickname we call it here at the lab is Aya's Spot. Doc Gruber's daughter's name, Aya, and she found it, I think, like 10 years ago, maybe even longer. But pretty much as the tide goes in and out, the juvenile lemons are following the tide and going in here as it gets deeper and higher tide. They can come back here into the protected zone. Pretty much to escape predation of like barracudas or larger sharks. The sharks are still gonna, like, one of the sharks' biggest threats when they're growing up is like bigger sharks that could eat them. So as the tide goes back out and it gets shallower in here, that's when they're kind of pushed out and have to fend for themselves and forage out in like the open lagoon over there. But once it gets deeper, all of the bigger sharks that are living in like the Bahamian Bank area right now, they can come back into the lagoon, and that's when they have to recede into here, into the protected area. So like each day you can see like up to, like this nursery can have up to like 20 sharks in one day coming in and out. And I think we've seen at least 6 neonates just from this nursery alone, which is pretty cool. So yeah.
Told you it wouldn't take long.
Zach.
Yep.
Oh man.
What'd you say? Up here, watch your hands, watch your hands.
Oh man. That one's in.
Yeah, it's just a baby though.
I'll take them off.
That's the best way to do it, Chris.
Should we bash it?
Huh?
Should we bash it?
You can, if you want. What are we gonna do with this thing? I mean, it's good that we killed it for conservation reasons, but not like anybody's gonna eat that. You gotta be super careful because it's a fucking lionfish. But if you put the bait knife through both gills, that'll kill him.
How venomous are they?
No, they fucking hurt. I mean, it's not gonna kill you, but they hurt really bad.
What's the name of this one?
Houndfish.
Houndfish.
Oh, alright. Cool. So that's alright. We have some pressure bait. See that? No?
Probably. And she said, I don't know where I'm from, we have this saying, like, a fed bear is a dead bear.
The good thing with a condom is that the wind helps you, and they're lubricated for your pleasure as well. And you know when a shark gets it because it'll go pull under really quick and then bang. Deep in as possible as we can. Oh, and up through the middle of the, like that.
Okay.
See that?
Yeah.
It's going to catch on the way out. So you want to let the shark take it and run with it a little bit before you actually let go. Okay, now do you want to take the reel bit? How to go, and it also means that the line isn't breaking. Just keep hold of it at the moment. Not quite yet. Oh, no. Hold it. So how we're going to do this is you're going to have to get involved for one moment.
Yeah, okay.
Cool. So.
Paper, or we have the KC tag, which is in there. It's a male. Male? Yeah. I don't think so.
I think Tristan told me that they're going to.
Okay, well, I guess we can. We have like DNA files in there. Yeah.
At that angle. Ready? And bash really hard, mate. That's alright. Is it in? No, shark skin's really tough. So you just broke the layer. Okay? Yeah. Now ready again? 3, 2, 1. Bam! That's it, pull out. There we go. Now there we go. Shark is tagged. Alright. Try and put my sunglasses. Just do that. Nice. So that's the hook out. Oh, no shit. Okay. There we go. You ready? Yeah. Push your off so okay, and swimming away nicely. Beautiful. Good job. Nicely done, guys.
Do we have to write down like the KC tag number or any of that?
It's all down.
You already got that?
Cool.
Beautiful coloration.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a rush with that guy, but
No, I think it's splashy, yeah.
we have to make sure, because these are the sharks that you have to work up quick. Otherwise, they don't break.
Okay. As my journey to Bimini is about to end, and a thunderstorm approaches the small Bahamian island, I'm sitting here in silence, reflecting on the last 12 days of shark experiences. Not much have changed regarding my passion for these magnificent creatures. I still see them as beautiful, yes, misunderstood, and being in the water with them, even face to face, has been, if not the most, but at least one of the absolute highlights of my life. They didn't try to bite or harm me in any way. Yes, they were curious, of course. But not once did I feel scared or threatened. Honored, privileged, and humble. These would be the words I would use instead. The conclusion to this amazing experience is still this. We as humans must do more to secure the survival of the sharks. Stop shark finning. Stop shark culling. Stop eating or buying products that include shark. From shark fin soup to cosmetics. Save the sharks. boycott the products